Haunted castles are the most unique and scariest hotspots for tourists and locals alike. But would you dare trail these dark and historical corridors on your own? If you came across the demon-like creature with a long neck coming out of the well of a Himeji castle in Japan, would you be the same or check into an asylum? The Japanese royal castle itself dates back to 1333 and is regarded as one of the greatest remaining examples of Japanese castle architecture, as well as the ghost of Okiku. What happened to her and why does she haunt the castle at night? Apparently the popular tale tells the story of her no longer as a human, but as a creature who lingers and crawls outside and around the castle. She was falsely accused of losing valuable dishes and was killed for it, and her ghost now haunts the castle as she counts the dishes in the kitchen in a mournful moaning tone. And once she reaches up to 9, she panics, shrieking violently as she throws herself into the well. Whatever threw Okiku in, I'm sure Countess Agnes of Burg, Eltz, Germany castle would probably not go without a fight. Burg, Eltz, Germany, it is said by their hosting tourist site that the castle is unlike other castles and it's been untouched by wars or sieges of violent country battles since its conception in 1157. In fact, the Eltz family has been pretty privileged aristocrats and have been caring for the castle for nearly 900 years, from prestigious members and important figures in the Holy Royal Empire of the German nation. The family's 34th generational member, Johann Jacob, is now entrusted to protect the ancestral home. But what makes the castle haunted? Countess Agnes. Countess Agnes. As many of the rooms are closed off to the tourists, hers is especially closed off. But if you dare to trespass into her room, you might not be the same again. A breastplate and battle axe remains in her room still today, as the legend has it she died defending the castle from an unwanted suitor. May not have been a war, but she fought her home against a man trying to get her. Understandable. To this day, she haunts the castle from any unwanted men. But did the countess die in her sleep trying to fight off her suitor, or did the suitor win? As for the legend of a young princess in East Scotland built in 1575 and 1636, lies an antique building known as the Castle Fraser, a famous elaborate architecture of beautiful fields of farmland and gardens. But according to legend, a young princess that was once staying at the castle was brutally killed in her sleep. Her body was dragged down the stone stairs, leaving trails and stains of her blood behind, and the staff and occupants tried hard as they tried to remove the stains, but were ordered instead to cover up the staircases with wood paneling, which remains as part of the interior design today. Some have even mentioned seeing the princess, and if you went home after, you'd wake up with her lying next to you. Oh my god. But what about the Voergaard Castle in Denmark? 100% in the northeastern Danish town, a grand castle with many windows displayed the work of Raphael, Goya, and El Greco to the public, but with its dark past also paints a horrible picture. The tale of Ingeborg Skil, who was able to acquire the castle in 1578, drowned her own architect in the moat, preventing him from designing and making another castle, as hers was the only one worth building. Because of this rash and vile decision making, Ingeborg's ghost is now spotted and felt haunting throughout the castle, all dressed in white. Because they always are dressed in white for some reason. Even if you don't think she's there, you might feel the hair at the back of your neck rise as you pass by the Rosodonten, the Voergaard Castle's infamous dungeon. The dungeon was designed so that an adult man could neither stand up straight or lie down. It was possibly purposely designed to have no holes for light or air to enter. The question is, why did Skill ask the designer to have a dungeon in the castle in the first place, and what did she use it for? Sadly, when it comes to those who died an untimely death, it is all due to illnesses or natural causes, like for Kate, the daughter of William Lanark, a prominent local politician in New Zealand. He had built the Lanark Castle between 1871 and in 1887, where he served as a resident. He built the castle as a birthday present for his daughter Kate for her 21st birthday, but unfortunately, when she did turn 26, she died from typhoid fever. Her body may have left the world, but her spirit had certainly lingered, as she loved the ballroom her father built and had imagined herself spinning with friends and suitors. And if you peek inside, you might actually see a girl dancing by herself. Or it could just be me, I don't know. She also has been rumored to tap you on the shoulder and whispering in your ear, "Shall we dance?" When it comes to the dances of witches, it was very apparent in the Moosham Castle of Austria, as the Salzburg witch trials had echoed the region between 1675 and 1690. Moosham Castle had played a vital and unfitting role as a host to the many unjust executions, imprisonment, and the torment of hundreds and hundreds of both men and women, all accused of witchcraft and paganism. Although the witch trials died out and, like most humanity, needed another scapegoat or trend, they discovered in the late 1800s so many deer and cattle within the castle proximity found dead, and that the residents around were tried and killed for, can you guess? Being werewolves. Yeah. Today, visitors and staffs have reported hearing sounds of aggressive banging against the doors and walls, footprints that lead to closed-off spaces, and sheets of white mist floating through the halls, and even someone breathing onto the nape of your neck. Considering some of these castles were used to torment and hurt any victim that enters their halls, the same goes for the 13th century estate of the most haunted castle in Ireland, the O'Carroll family castle, also known as Leap Castle. Legend has it that there was an aggressive power struggle within the family in the 16th century. In a bit of war after the main patriarch died, a member of the family killed his own brother who was also a priest. Visitors have noted seeing a disgruntled and heartbroken priest wandering within the bloody chapel of the home. Even as recent in 1990, when renovators found a secret dungeon in the chapel was filled with skeletons, dozens of skeletons of unknown victims who fell through a trap door through the castle. Traps that the O'Carroll prisoners would fall on top of wooden spikes and experience a slow and very painful death. A location that was close to the chapel where even visitors might even hear by an earshot. But like a pit of despair lies in some castles maybe a pit of hell. In the Houska Castle lies a huge hole in the ground that has been constantly rumored since its discovery a gateway to hell. Why am I smiling? Some even say that the hole existed before the castle was built, and even the owners who created the Houska Castle purposely made a deal with the devil inside and allowed the castle to be a front while evil deeds were made below. Even in some rhetoric after the ownership changed, some even tried to visit the hole somehow below, as some prisoners would bargain with the prison guards for their freedom. One man agreed that he would get to the bottom of the hole and report back in order to gain his freedom. When he was lowered, the prisoners and guards heard a sound from the man that was unheard of. Blood-curdling screams and panics of "Get me out! Get me out!" They pulled him back up to the surface only to see his face and body aged 30 years. All hair all white and face full of fear. Even with the fortress turned castles or castles turned into fortresses, there are no difference as the shady darkness that is lured within. Like the Akershus Fortress that was built in the late 1290s as the ultimate defense against foreign attacks and was instrumental in the 7 Years' War. The sprawling fortress is now used as some royal functions and can be toured by the public. However, locals say it's a war-torn past and has yet to leave, noting that some have seen the ghosts of soldiers roaming the halls. The most well-known supernatural sightings include a demon dog that is said to guard the gates of the castle, and a spirit of a woman that has no facial features. And finally, with one castle, Haunted Castle mentions a catchy motto which is "Live an interesting life." The Ballygally Castle, located in Ireland, was initially built by the Houdnet family. After many years and many witnesses of the battles, it was also used as an occupied and modified location for the Irish Army during the emergency to serve as a defense structure in 1939 to 1945. Mindful of its ghostly history, John, the previous owner of the castle, took precautions, inviting a local clergy to perform an exorcism on site and to bless the structure going forward. The history involving with the castle refers to Lady Margaret, who once walked through the castle looking for mirrors. She used to be a great beauty and had many suitors come line up. When she was forced to starve for a year from one suitor named Clon Rockenby, she finally lost her mind and her looks and smashed every mirror in the castle. Some witnesses say that her spirit had no face, while others say she would manifest wearing a veil to cover her sad and heartbroken face, looking for herself in mirrors. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for joining in. Which haunted house would you still check out? Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. My name is Jess, and I wish you all the best.